Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today I'm going to show you how to make a quilt called Abundance. This is a pattern that I've made before. I've even done it in a video before, but I've never made it with only 6 fabrics and I wasn't sure if it would work. It looks to me like it's working out really well, so I'm going to show you how to make one for yourself. I'm using a collection from Moda and it's called Gradients Auras. They're very abstract. And we've got 3 that are a little bit light and 3 that are a little bit dark. And so I'm going to make, these are the 3 darker ones here. These are the 3 lighter ones. And I'm going to use a yard each and make half square triangles with them. I always like to iron my fabrics before I cut them so they are nice and flat because I will get more accurate blocks that way. All we have to cut is 8-inch squares. I like to use a weight to hold my ruler down so that it won't slide there. And from each 8-inch strip, we're going to be able to get 5 squares. So I'm going to need to get one in the folded area here. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this and I'll get my first 2 8-inch cuts, and then we'll need to open up the piece that's left. It has the fold, and I'm going to iron it flat and then cut the 8-inch square out of it. So right now it's bigger than 8 inches this way, but I like to iron it before I cut this square. So you can get 4 of the 8-inch strips to cut up into squares, and then we've got this scrap left over here, and I'm going to cut a 2-inch strip out of this. And we're going to put this aside to use for a pieced border once we get all of the patchwork done. All right, I've gone ahead and paired these up. So we've got a dark and a light, a dark and a light, and a dark and a light. So we're going to take these pairs and make half square triangles with them. So for the light, we're going to draw a line on the back side of the light ones. And if you have a one-way pattern, the way I have here, that's kind of stripy, you want to do the lines going the same way every time. So I don't want some lines drawn like this and some drawn like that. Draw them all exactly the same way. I've got one of each pair here, and all we have to do is line everything up and stitch a 1/4 inch away from the line on both sides. The next step is to cut right along that drawn line. So we've got 2 half square triangles now, and I'm going to put the light color down on my ironing board and then peel this open. And the reason I say peel it open is because I want this seam in the middle to not get pushed. I don't want it to swoop or be curved at all, and I usually do it with my hands a little bit first, then a dry iron, and then a little steam. And the last step is to just trim off these little dog ears. That's the little pieces that are sticking off here, and the quilt will be less bulky if we trim all those off. All right, we've got all the half square triangles made and we're ready to lay out the quilt. I'm just going to do 1 quadrant at a time, so 1/4 of the quilt, and I'm going to start in the middle. So I've got dark in the middle and then I've got light here. So I'm going to take what I'm calling the lighter color here and do kind of a diagonal row. Then I'm going to take the 3rd combination, and this is the dark part of it, and I'm going to put it up against the dark part there. And then I'm going to have to add a couple more of these to finish off that diagonal row, and then I'm going to start over with this color. But this time I'm putting the light facing this way. So what I'm doing is making a faint pattern, a faint row here of light and a row there of dark. And so I'm just going to continue on building this till I have 1/4 of the quilt laid out. And here's the very last piece for this quarter. So you can see those faint dark and light lines. Now, the next quadrant is made exactly the same as this, but we're just going to swirl it around and put it in the far corner. There, that's the whole second quadrant. And again, it's exactly the same as the first one. So you can just make 2 of these and you just swivel it around. Now for these 2 parts, we're going to start with a dark in the middle again, but not the same dark. It's a different dark. We'll put that one there. Then we'll start our light. And then we'll do this dark up against that dark. And we'll just keep going. There, now we can see a lot of that pattern continuing around. So all I have to do is lay out 1 more quadrant, again, exactly the same, and we'll swivel it around there. There, now I've got the whole quilt laid out. I don't know if you noticed I had a couple blocks laid the wrong way over there, but I've got them fixed now. Very easy to sew the quilt together. We've just got these long rows, and then we'll sew all the rows together, and then we're going to add a bonus patchwork border. Remember those strips we cut earlier and I told you to set aside? I've got them all laid out here. They're 2 inches wide, and I'm going to cut them into 4-inch lengths. I also cut some 2-inch strips out of a white paper grunge, and I cut 5-inch lengths, and then I've got 8 pieces that are 8 inches that we will put at the beginning and the end of each of the pieced borders. For one side of the quilt, I've got 11 of these print and 10 of the plain, and then 2 long ones. So we're going to just alternate here. We're going to start with the end piece, and I'm going to sew on a print, and then a white, and then a print, and then a white, and then finish up with this guy last. All of the seam allowances will go toward the dark. So here's the patchwork border. It's a little bit longer than the quilt right now, and that's what we need, because I don't think it's going to look very good right up against this patchwork. So I'm going to put a white border in between, a very narrow white border here. So this is how wide it is with no seam allowances, but once we stitch those seam allowances, it's going to be a little bit skinnier. That's going to cover it up a little bit, and then I'm going to use another white border on the outside of it, so I'm sandwiching it, and then I'm going to use this aqua colored grunge, which seems to pull out those colors. It's kind of a multicolored grunge, and that'll go around last. So it's pretty easy to put these borders on. This one just goes all the way around. And then to put this border on, and I think I misspoke. I think I used 9 of these, or 10 of these and 9 of these, but it'll be, the number will be correct in the free pattern. And all you have to do is find the middle of this long border and pin it to the middle of the quilt, stitch it on, and then trim off any excess. So I'm going to get all those borders on and get it loaded onto the quilting machine. I've got the quilt all loaded up, and I picked some thread colors that I think will look nice. I was thinking about using a contrasting color here. This green, it's going to blend in pretty well. It's going to show a little bit on the borders. Also could go with this deeper turquoise. Again, only going to show on the borders. It's going to blend in there. This one's going to blend in everywhere and on the borders, and that's what I'm going to go with. For the quilting, I wanted something with circles. Some of the prints have circles. Let me make this a little bigger. So there's one repeat of the pattern. It's just going to be bigger and littler circles all over. I've got the Abundance quilt all done. Came out nice and big. It's 86 by 98, and I'm very happy with how this border frames the patchwork. The patchwork looked good by itself, but I really like having some sort of border, and this pieced one makes it a lot more interesting. The circled quilting looks really good. Let's see if we can see it. Oh yeah, you can see it on the back. I used a little bit of a lighter grunge on the back. Very easy quilt to make. It stitches up very fast. And so you can see that secondary pattern there. You see the diamonds, and it's a little bit abstract because this quadrant is not exactly the same as that one. Of course, if you wanted everything symmetrical, you could lay out the pieces so that it was exact going all the way around, but I think this way makes it slightly more interesting. Thanks so much for watching our tutorial today. We hope you enjoyed it. Now at the end of every video, we do a giveaway. Today's giveaway is a quilt that's made with our adjustable jelly roll race pattern. So this is a quilt you can make with jelly roll strips, and it has these little accent pieces in it. And we have a pattern written so that you can make this quilt in any size. So I made this one with some Moda prints, and I put all of the dark ones in the middle, lighter towards the outside. And it's very easy to make the quilt, but it's even easier to enter our giveaway so that you can win the quilt. Just click the link right below this video that says giveaway and put in your name and your email address. Now, if you like our tutorials and you want to help us out, the best thing you can do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out. Happy quilting!